The night is almost gone, and the day is near. Therefore, let us lay aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light. Welcome to the Armored Podcast. We're your hosts, Hayden White, Nathan Williams.
What's up, guys?
It's been rough trying to get this happen. I am to blame.
Well, sort of. The Alaska's weather is to blame.
Yeah.
You know.
We were supposed to do it last Monday. We had to make a fly and run. We didn't have to.
Because somebody decided to spend their extra money and go buy a camper.
Found a good deal on a camper, so we drove to Wasilla. And if anybody has small children, I've got a 3-month-old, and road tripping with a 3-month-old is rough. He did pretty good. And then
He's not a car sleeper?
No, he did.
Oh, well, that's good.
But they wake up like every 3 or 4 hours wanting to eat. And that's a 30-minute ordeal every time. But get up there. Everything went fine on the way up. He slept most of the way. We stopped in like Anchorage and fed him. Got the camper. Everything went good. Oh, except for I forgot my drop hitch. So all I had was I didn't forget it. I just didn't bring the ball for the drop hitch. So I had too big of a ball on it. Yeah. And so I had to use, I didn't know what size it was. So luckily I brought a couple hitches.
Oh, that's good. You should just get one of those that has like 3 of them. Just turn it.
I bought one finally after this trip. Yeah. But that's what I had, but it was just the straight and no drop to it at all. Right, yeah. And my truck's got a 6-inch lift and 33-inch tire, 35-inch tires.
Because if you probably propped it up there, the back end would be scraping or something.
Dude. Well, to start, the jack was not tall enough. Like I cranked it all the way up, trying to get it on my truck, but it maxed out. Wouldn't go tall enough to get on the truck. So I was like, oh, crap. So, back up here. I didn't know this over Facebook Marketplace, okay? Like, it's hard to tell over text message.
That should be something you ask.
No, you don't ask this question. So, everything went fine. I lowballed the crap out of him. I felt kind of bad.
Oh, I thought you meant the ball hitch.
No, we're backing up.
Okay.
There's more to this. There's more to this. So, I lowballed him, super low, like in half of what he was asking. And he accepts the offer. It's like, sweet, I'm coming
Monday. You ain't
Monday.
no Christian.
A salesman.
You're scamming.
He agreed to the terms. So I get up there. Well, actually, like 2 days before we're going up there, because I work through the weekend. So I was like, well, I can't make it up there till Monday. So he texted me on like Saturday or something. And he was like, well, actually, can you do this much? He wanted me to pay him like an extra $1,000.
Because he talked to somebody and they were like, Dog, what are you doing?
Probably. And I was like, no, man, we agreed on this much. Either take it or keep the camper.
You're a rat. I would have been like, all right, I'll go up 250.
Nope. So he's like, oh, okay, fine. So I get up there. I find out he's definitely like got some kind of severe special needs. I didn't know that. I felt really bad. It's like, oh, it was kind of like, the joke of like stealing candy from a Down syndrome kid.
I'm pretty sure it goes stealing candy from my baby, not a Down syndrome kid.
It was bad. I felt really bad. So then we get
you should have just accidentally left a few couple $100.
I would have, but I only brought the certain amount. Or else I probably would have because I felt really bad at this point.
Yeah, he definitely went and talked to his brother or something. It was like, I'm not going to try to imitate it, actually. We're just going to move on.
Let's just continue. So that's definitely what happened. I felt really bad. And then we finally are going to hook up to the camper. Everything looks good. I pay him, sign everything over, back up to it. And this is why I brought several hitches, because I asked him, what size do I need? I don't know. Like, okay, that's fine.
Fair enough.
So I brought a few. Well, then I back up to it. I already told you it won't go high enough.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, I'm here 4 hours away from home. I don't want to go drop another $100 on a different hitch. So I'm like,
can I trade you?
He's like doing donuts on his 4-wheeler the whole time I'm doing it.
He's like,
dude, he's not even
this guy's mobbing.
So all I've got is Megan trying to take care of the baby while I'm dealing with this. And so I'm like, all right, you get in the driver's seat, back up to the camper. I'll back you up. And it's like, I don't know what I should do here. I don't want to make this even take any longer because it's kind of like out of town. I didn't want to drive back into Wasilla to buy another hitch, spend more money. So I'm like,
even though you've already got, $4,000 off the deal.
So I take the safety chains and wrap it around my hitch. Hook it up.
You mean you didn't actually hitch it?
Lower the jack all the way down. Put some blocks under it. Jack it back up. So now it can jack up high enough. Hook it onto my hitch. So I had like this much room between the back bumper, and the ground all the way home, dude. And then it freezing rained all the way home. Oh, it was such a brutal trip.
Yeah, see, I thought you died or like you got in an accident because I didn't even know you were leaving town. That was not, I knew you were like had left town, but it didn't sound like you were going to Wasilla. So when I texted you, I was like, hey, we're recording. And he's like, yeah, we'll probably be back at 5. So I'm planning, okay, we're probably around 6. And then I was like, earlier. He's like, later. So I was like, okay, 6, maybe 7. So I get here at like 6:30. Yeah, obviously you never text me. So I called Dan. I was like, Dan, have you heard from either your child or your son-in-law? And Dan's like, oh, no, I haven't. What's going on? I was like, I don't know. They haven't responded, and it's not like Hayden to not respond. Now, it is for like an hour maybe, but not, for half the day. So I was like, what's going on? And so he gives a call, or I don't know if he got a hold of you or what, but eventually you texted me, and I was like, are you alive? I thought he was like in the ditch.
Dude, there was cars flipped over on the side of the road on their lids. Like,
meanwhile, you just chained a trailer and called it.
I was still doing like 60 miles an hour dragging this camper.
You've got a wife and kid in the car.
I didn't even know it was that slick, honestly. I don't think it was. I think people just panic as soon as it starts to look sketchy. But
that is true. That is a common.
Yeah. Everyone was driving so slow. I was passing people where I could and like trying to get here. I thought we would be back because we do this trip all the time in the summer. I mean, sometimes in the winter when I have time, but my work schedule now doesn't really allow it. But it's usually like a 6-hour trip there and back. It took like 13 hours, dude.
13 hours, bro. 13 hours. I could have gotten on a plane and flown back to Tennessee.
It was stupid. It was the worst road trip.
Speaking of which, actually, my Tennessee plane ticket is 22 hours.
Nice.
Sucks. Is what it is. I'm going to be in an airport a lot in the next couple weeks. But to move forward, because it sounds like that's how your week went.
That's why we were late the first time.
That's why we're late. Hey, something popped up. Was that
Stop recording.
I wonder what story left off. What does it say on the recording? Tell you the time? Like how long it's been recording? It says it's maxed out. The SD card? Yeah. Bruh, don't tell me you didn't change your SD card. Do you have another one? So now we're going to have to re-record that story.
I think I usually use that one for audio. I think the other one's bigger.
Gotcha.
We're back. Focus.
All right, log it.
All right, so moving on.
My week was cool, I guess. Nothing like that happened.
You didn't rob anybody.
But I'll say my news story for today, and then we'll go into the fun question, and then we'll jump into the scripture. I'll be quick, hopefully, because you yapped forever.
I feel like it was worth it.
Yeah. So today, guys, at work, I've been I'll preface first by saying there's like I'm wanting to change a lot of things in my life in general, like fitness goals, scripture goals, class goals. Like weirdly, like a journey of change is kind of going on. So
transitioning into Jake from State Farm.
Yes, Nate from State Farm. And in that process, I'm trying to focus on opportunities where I can change in a lot of ways. So, for example, in my communication with others, I found myself to be a little bit more hesitant than I had been in the past about kind of voicing my faith in a lot of ways. Not that I'm scared to, but it's like I'm in a new area. I'm not used to it. Like I don't know who people are. Like I'm just coming up with excuses not to talk about it. So today at work, I got to spend a lot of time with a coworker of mine. If you're ever listening, this is really dope. I'm not going to say names or parts of the story because it's your business, not mine. But it was really dope because I got to learn a lot about her story and her walk with a lot of things in life. And she had some trouble going on, and as we all do, I would say more significant than mine and probably most. But in that, we had a brief discussion about Christianity in there. And what was really awesome was that she voiced like her biggest problem with it is that there are people that do these horrible things she's experienced and still claim to be saved by Christ. And I was sitting there like, I agree, bro. Christians suck, especially a large portion of us. I hate the fact that so many good Christians can be in the same pool of people as bad Christians, and to the outside eye, it's all the same. It's really hard to deal with. So in that time, or in that process, I got to talk to her about a few things that I thought were really important and relate to her story in some ways as I talked about my journey with Christ. Because she was like, I'm 100% like receptive and open. I'm not denying. I'm not like shutting it off. And that's always huge when you're talking to a non-believer, because the hardest thing is most times they're so shut off to the whole scenario that it's like, I'm going to need a miracle just to get you to even think about what I'm saying. But she's like, I know there's some greater thing out there. I just don't know what it is, which is the exact statement I made in high school. So I was able to relate to her in some ways, and which was awesome because it was a good moment for me to exercise what it means to share my faith in some ways, but also care so much more about loving a person well versus, hey, look at my doctrine, look at all these things I know, right? Because I think so much as Christians, including myself, I'm infatuated by people who know so much that I want to do the same thing. So when I give it an opportunity and I'm like, oh, I know so much, I can say so much, I need to remember that that's not important at this moment. Like that moment is important in some times, but right now what's more important is being with this person, talking to them. So if you are listening ever, love the conversation. It was a great time. I really enjoyed it. It was super great. And I can't wait to have more conversations and talk more with you, regardless if it's about God or not. I think, as I said before, the care that we give to others is often neglected for the religion we're trying to promote, kind of thing. So that was really dope.
You talked around a couple things that I wish more people understood, especially Christians, and I wish people that weren't Christians could see, is Christianity is supposed to be an identity, not a label. Yeah. Like we throw it around as a label. It should
be an embodiment almost. Yeah. I think is a better phrase.
Yeah. It should be who you are. Mm-hmm. And so often, which we got to remember, like everybody screws up. Like we get that.
Right. I told her, I was like, we are flawed humanity trying to work with a perfect system. Yeah. It will never work out. And if we were perfect, there would be no point in a savior. Yeah. It's like we have to be flawed for this thing to work out.
I think where people go wrong is they use Christianity as like a justification for what they did wrong.
It is literally what she said. Yeah. She's like, oh, I get to use my Christianity as like, it's okay that I screwed up here.
Yeah. That's not Christianity.
Yeah. Christianity is owning up to that and being like, bruh, I suck and I need a savior.
Yeah.
So that was really dope. That was really cool. That happened today. A lot of cool things have been happening around the week, but nothing quite that fun.
Nice.
So. But I have a question. I have a fun question. I'm super excited.
I have a boring answer.
You probably will. But lock in with me.
Focused.
Theoretically speaking, if a random pool of 1,000 people, literally anyone in the entire world, got shoved into this room, and the only way to get out is to prove that you are the best at literally anything you can think of, what is your thing that you're the best at?
No, bro, we just talked about it. I'm a salesman through and through.
You don't think... you don't think out of the raw chance of this entire world that there's a better salesman out there that might end up in that room?
I'm one of the few people I know that have out salesmen a car salesman.
An autistic kid, bro. Dude. I don't think that's something to brag about.
I mean, I'm the only guy I know that has out salesman a car salesman. I'll say that.
You sold a car to a car salesman?
I sold a broken car, traded it into a car salesman for two really nice cars.
Okay, so then what are you doing running around with a snowplow?
I don't know.
You should be in my job.
Yes.
He's like, I can't do it with the soft hands.
I'd lose my mind sitting behind a desk. It's like one of the real reasons I do what I do.
Salesmen don't sit behind a desk. Well, I do, but the salesmen don't have to.
I don't know. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do the computer thing.
Yeah. I I didn't think I could either. And now I'm very happy with doing this instead of shoving my hand in dirt.
Yeah, no, there was definitely a time where I think I would have grown to like it. But I've climbed the ladder enough to where I'm not doing the grunt work anymore. Yeah,
that's fair.
So now it's like I'm kind of in an office, but I'm outside at the same time.
Yeah, you get to drive around a big old machine thingy all day.
Yeah, machine thingy.
Now, I don't actually have an answer, even though I came with the question. But here's my strategy. This is my strategy. I'm first going to think about what is already something in the world that has a very low percentage of people that do it and are good at it. For example, golf. The chances of you being a really great golfer are like insanely small. So if I think I'm good at whatever that tiny amount of people subject is, I automatically have a greater chance of success in that box. But if I was like, oh, I'm the best at folding clothes, every freaking person folds their clothes. Well, not everybody. Hold on. But that was my strategy with it. So I was like, and then I had to get back to work, so I stopped thinking about it. And then I just remembered when I got here today.
You're lucky being there with Tiger Woods.
Yeah, but that's the risk is like, you know, if there is somebody who's really good at that. But it's like out of 8 billion people, the smallest percent of thing that 8 billion people can do that but don't do. If I'm decent at that, I have a better shot. You know what I'm saying?
So, Third John. We're going to wrap up Third John. And I think our next one, I think our plan for the future here is we're going to roll into Hebrews next. And we're probably going to move away from like the verse by verse study. We talked about like just going over like the big topics as they come up, kind of an overview of stuff. And we'll definitely
read. We'll probably, I think it might, we haven't talked about it, but it might be good to just read the whole chapter. If we're going to talk about the chapter as a chapter, read it just through and then talk about it from there on.
Yeah.
But if we want to cover multiple chapters, we obviously will not read 5 chapters in one episode.
Yeah. We've already hit like, how many episodes are we on? Like
we're like 7 or 6.
To get through.
I said it backwards.
You know, like, yeah. I mean, we haven't covered very much scripture because we've been going verse by verse.
Yeah, we've been doing this for
a lot of episodes.
3 months. So,
well, I mean, in episode wise, like it's taken a lot of episodes to cover a small amount of scripture, which is fine. But I think we want to cover more ground, more of the bigger topics to maybe be a little more engaging too.
And I think there will be times where we might spend 2 episodes on one chapter still.
Yeah.
But at least for some things that, for example, Third John, it's like we could have hit 2nd and 3rd John in the same episode, but we didn't.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's the goal moving forward. But with that, as we like skip over something, let us know. Like
more questions.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like if there's something you're like, hey, you guys went from here and then jumped to here. What about this part in the middle? Bring it up. We'll definitely hit it on the next episode. And
because truthfully, that happens a lot. There are so many times that I want to find something about a certain little section, but I can't find anything on it because everyone does the bigger studies. So it's like, I want to know what these 3 verses mean. So if you do have those questions, definitely put them in the comments. YouTube, Spotify, right?
Yep. YouTube, Spotify, on the Instagrams. You're supposed to be taking care of Instagram stuff, but you haven't lately.
Bro, we haven't recorded in a month.
We're recording now.
Because we pre-recorded a week early once, and then we didn't record a week late. But I am going to post it because I know it's been a while, so I'm going to do that.
All right. Well, with that, you want to jump into like verses 1 through 4?
Yeah. Okay. It states, "The elder to my dear friend Gaius, whom I love in truth. Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. It gave me great joy when some believers came and testified about your faithfulness to the truth, telling how you continue to walk in it. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth."
All right. So I haven't actually opened up Third John in a long time before making these notes, just because like
pull it over my eyes.
I've always kind of struggled to see where it fit in my life. Like obviously there's things in there that you can pick and pull out, but it seems like a super personal letter, and which it is. But I'm in a phase of my life now which will bring up some topics that I feel like this letter actually really addressed to me. But we'll get there eventually. So verse 1,
eventually.
Yeah. He introduces himself as the elder. Again, like 2nd John, he doesn't name himself as John, but elder was a common name he gave himself. It seems to fit his writing style. And he says, whom I love in truth. This is what fits with John's vocabulary. It's kind of his way of speaking. And Gaius was a very common name. I tried to dig into who Gaius was. We don't know. We can't prove who he was, but the same name appears in Acts 19:29, Romans 16:23, and 1 Corinthians 1:14. Some people believe this is the same Gaius. There's no way to prove it.
Yeah, I think based off my study, the general understanding is that it's not the Roman official. I don't know what it's based on because all we get is my dear friend Gaius.
It seems like there's like, I don't know what the actual ratio would be, but it's like a 50-50 split of like some people believe this is the same guy and there's the same half believes that this is not the same guy. Yeah. So,
which honestly though, I don't really think it makes sense that it would be because
I don't think so.
We're talking about Gnosticism in the church, and if a Roman official would not be in the church, he could have been an ex-Roman official and joined the church. That can make sense, but like he wouldn't be actively participating as an elder. The elder to my, or wait.
The elder would be John.
Never mind.
Authoring the letter. Yeah.
But still, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I
don't think it is.
It's possible, but I definitely lean that it's not the same Gaius. But again, no way to prove it.
If you think he is, prove us wrong. In the comments.
I don't have that verse.
I don't get that.
In verse 2, he mentions prosper twice. And I didn't write down the Greek word because I couldn't say it anyways. But it's the same word both times, and it means what you would think it would mean. It's usually used like as like physically prospering, like being wealthy. Growth. Yeah, growth. It's usually used when talking about wealth, prospering, wealthiness. But he's talking about this both physical and spiritually prospering, which I think is unique.
Yeah.
I know I'm kind of cruising through some verses here, so jump in whenever you have something to throw in there. But he came and testified. Gaius was a man of good report, a qualification of an elder, something we should all be striving towards. He was blameless and above reproach. We see that in one of the, I believe it's Titus brings that up as one of the qualifications for an elder. And I think this is where it starts to apply it to my life. I'm kind of hitting a little bit of, I don't want to say spiritual maturity per se, because I have a ton of growth to do, but I've hit kind of a middle ground of I know enough to be confident in what I believe. I'm digging deeper into the scriptures, but I have a lot to believe, or a lot to learn. And so I'm kind of in this middle ground of what's my end goal as a Christian? And I think for young men, it should be aspiring to be preachers, aspiring to be elders.
Dude, I would love to be an elder. I hate that that's not something people want.
I understand why, because I've worked with the church here for a long time, is like because we haven't had elders, so I've gotten to witness, like, because we do everything by men's meetings. You've been involved in a couple of those, and I've been involved in that for years. So I've seen like what goes on behind the scenes to keep the church running, to keep the people shepherded. Like, I can see why people don't desire it. It is a huge task.
Yeah.
Then again, what else should we be doing on this earth? So
yeah, I don't know. I think of like people who are in politics, like one of the greatest aspirations is to be president. And it was like, in a sense, that's like the greatest responsibility we can have as people on earth, is to be an elder of the church.
Yeah.
You know, and the same thing as the greatest responsibility you can have as a politician would be to be the president, you know? And it's not that, I understand there's a lot more responsibility that falls on your shoulders, but at the same time, you've got a team and like everyone there elected you. So they also trust you. And you know, you've met the requirements. So therefore you also, in a way, have God's verbal blessing by saying, hey, you've met the things I've asked you to meet. We all know you can do this, you know?
Yeah. No, and that's our number one task on this earth, is to get other people to heaven. And that, an eldership is the ultimate, the best level of getting people there as you can possibly have. Like, that is your entire life goal.
Right.
Should be getting people to heaven.
That should be our life goal anyway.
Right.
As
that's
Christians,
what I'm saying.
That's literally the whole point.
That's what blows me away.
Man, act better.
Well, we've gotten away from masculinity. Like, that's not a thing people want anymore. It's crept into the church. People don't want to serve under a leadership. They don't want an eldership telling them what to do, what to believe. Yeah.
That is very true.
We gotta shift culture back, which I think is happening, which is awesome.
Yeah, I do think that's true as well. Before we go forward, I did want to talk a little bit more about this physical versus spiritual health. And I kind of want to talk about, like, our spiritual health is so neglected. For example, if you were to think about it, just as your body needs food, your spirit needs prayer. And are you fasting in prayer? Like, are you not praying? You know, your body can only go so long without sustenance. It's like, how long can your spiritual health really last if you're not pouring into it in ways, if you're not feeding it every day? So many people are like, dude, it's so hard to pray every day. It's so hard to read my Bible every day. And while that's true, but it's, if your heart is in the right place and your spirit's in the right place, like, that's going to become a hunger that needs to be met. Same way as your body needs food. And I wondered I kind of want to talk about what it would be like if that scale was flipped. So say like our physical hunger directly related to our spiritual need. It's like, how much more would we gain? And also, is it more important that our spiritual health is met before our physical health? You know?
Yeah. No, I know. I definitely go through seasons of like, it's harder for me to open up the Bible. I don't pray as much. Like, I'm not making time for it. I definitely go through seasons of that. And like, matter of fact, like the last couple months has been that season for me where it was like really hard to make myself sit down, clear my mind, open the Bible, study the word. Like, it's been really difficult for me. I've come out of that in the last couple of weeks, and like my mood's way better. I don't know how the spiritual world works, real. Man. Like, I don't know how it works, but it is definitely a real felt effect. Just like physical hunger. Like,
I think every like Christian, actual practicing Christian, can attest to that fact of like, if you're not in your word and you're not praying, your life is worse. Yeah. 1,000%. Like, I've never met a single Christian, a real like practicing religious, God-fearing Christian, say like, oh yeah, I had this season where I wasn't really reading as much and I had so much more fun. Like, I felt so much better and I was so much more positive. Like, that literally does not correlate. So it's so funny that we do go through those seasons, just like you're saying, where we choose not to. Yeah.
Well, let's continue on this train of thought. Like, your physical life, you're not going to go hungry. You're going to feed yourself, right?
Potentially. Could go broke.
Well, even if you go broke, what are you going to do?
Start eating dirt.
You're not going to be putting the right food in, right?
Eating some bugs.
Yeah. So you're going to be, we don't let ourselves go hungry. We feed ourselves. Right. What we eat matters, right? If you're eating McDonald's every day, what happens?
We get a little bit fat.
Right.
You get some diabetes.
If you're eating steaks and you're eating well every day, what happens?
Don't feel pretty good.
Yeah. What happens in your spiritual life? No matter whether you're reading your Bible or not, you're taking stuff in. Mm-hmm. What are you watching on your phone? What are you spending your time consuming?
Not very good stuff.
What's that doing to your mental, spiritual life?
It's making me feel like I'm not worthy.
Right.
like I'm a bad person.
I mean, we all fill it with the word. This, right?
I feel pretty good about myself.
Exactly.
You know what? I feel pretty happy today. Like we were talking about in my story, it's like I'm trying to end this weird journey of kind of shifting some stuff and changing things. And it's like that conversation today only happened because, well, I think I only had the confidence to say it because I've been thinking about it. Like I've been trying to pray more in spiritual word. Like I actually, never mind.
Well, that's
I don't want to say it.
That's what 1st and 2nd John were kind of pushing is like,
yeah.
If you're a Christian, you need to be doing these things. And that means you have to actively be doing them. Mm-hmm. Like you can't just be saying, oh, yeah, I'm a Christian. It's happening somewhere. No, you got to be doing it.
It's like, no.
No.
Yeah, your faith is your own. It's no one else's. So if you're not the one feeding yourself, essentially, you're going to starve, bro.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to die.
Yeah. No, it's really worth talking about and reminding ourselves. All right.
5 through 8. You want me to read? Or did you want to read?
Yeah. There's a couple more things I was going to bring up, but I think...
Oh, we'll bring it up. Bro, we've been in here for 20 minutes. We good. Actually, your story took a while.
It did. Yeah, I don't know. I was going to just bring up we already touched on it a little bit, but he mentions that there's no greater joy working in the church, and we shouldn't take for granted our brothers that are living faithfully and working hard in the church because sometimes we overlook those that are doing a lot in the church.
Yeah.
There should be no greater joy than serving alongside them. We talked about that a little bit with the eldership thing, but...
I don't know. That is something I've been thinking of. It's like, what is it now that brings such a desire to work for the church? Like, what is it different about today than it was 3 years ago when I was still actively in the church, but I didn't really care enough to, work for it. So it's like, what's that difference now that it's like, I feel so much joy knowing that, I've got a class on Wednesday. I might not be where I am, like as a teacher, where I'd be like, oh, I want to bring this crazy lesson. Like, I know I'm not there yet. I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know what the determining factor is.
Yeah, I think it goes like First John really talked about the importance of fellowship. We were designed by God to crave that fellowship with each other. Mm-hmm. And I think when we realize that, when we allow that into our lives, when we're trying to feed ourselves with that, we understand like, I really enjoy being around these people. And it's hard to not be around these people. And I think that's what he's talking about is the joy we should experience in the church.
I think that is a big motivator for me, especially in college. Like I was so much more, I was diving so much harder in the word when there were people around me that were like wanting to talk about it. That was a big thing we had going on. It was like, we just need to talk about it. It doesn't have to be profound. It doesn't have to be crazy, but literally just speak the name of Jesus in ways that that are interesting to you, and you will create waves where that continues to happen. Yeah. So, for example, Austin, told me about this Bible study he went to 2 weeks ago or something like that, and he didn't really want to go. I think I told you the story where he didn't really want to go. Okay, well, he didn't really want to go. And he goes anyway because, that guilty feeling. We're like, I should go to Bible study. I'm a Christian. I gotta go. Having this guilty feeling, right? But God uses that to bring him to this Bible study where everyone else is in that same headspace. We're like, I don't really want to go there, but they're Christians that should. And most of them don't go to church together, so they're all kind of new to each other. But that Bible study created so much life in him, so much revival and like breath of fresh air, because he's in a room with believers with all different stories that were willing to talk about it. And he called me after, and you can just tell when someone's super stoked about something. So he's like going crazy on the phone, and now I'm eating it up because I'm getting the side effect of what he's gotten. And it's just continuing this wave of impact on us, and our spiritual lives are in a sense are eating again for the first time in however many days you haven't been feeding it. So you're rejuvenized. You're so energetic again because that lack of spiritual attention has now been met. Yeah. And it's like
you're acting on the identity you're claiming you have.
So it's like, if that is the outcome, why in the world do we ever stop? I haven't figured that out. I was like, why? If that's how I feel every single time, then how in the world do I ever say, I don't want to read my Bible when I know what it does? Yeah. It's so weird. It's so weird how it works.
Satan's crafty, man.
He's a sneaky little guy.
What do you do when you don't read your Bible? Oh, I'm going to hop on Instagram Reels for 2 hours. Yeah. Man, I could have really read some Bible in that 2 hours. But man, Satan's made this iPhone so tempting to get on that I wish we did, man. But I don't know. That's how it starts.
I really need to delete my socials again. I really need to.
It takes up way too much time.
For real. But it's like, that means I got to pay attention to the video game I'm playing. Okay, move on.
5 through 8. You want to read it for us?
Yeah.
Get a hold of yourself.
Okay. Beloved, you are acting faithfully in whatever you accomplish for the brethren, and especially when they are strangers, and they have testified to your love before the church. You will do well to send them on their way in a manner worthy of God, for they, for they went out for the sake of the name, accepting nothing from the Gentiles. Therefore, we ought to support such men so that we may be fellow workers with the truth.
All right. What version are you reading from?
NASB.
Okay.
The real version.
No, it was really similar, just like worded some things backwards. It was kind of interesting, but
that's how languages work. They're all backwards.
So he's obviously still addressing Gaius. He hasn't transitioned into the other two people he's going to talk about.
I think some translations say brothers and sisters. So I think I don't know if that's a translational thing, but at least yes. I have it in here. Okay.
Yes.
So he's probably talking to a body of people now.
Right. So he starts with beloved, and I'm pretty sure he's still talking about Gaius here. And Gaius is commended for the way he's treating others before the church, and he's showing his leadership example, right? And again, this is like where my mind's going of like, man, I really need to start imitating this guy Gaius. The way he's serving his church, wherever he's at, is how I should be serving my church. Mm-hmm. Just by his example of how he's treating other people is showing leadership in his church.
Yeah. But how do we get there? That's a question I have in here is how do we get to a point where our body like supports other bodies of believers? Because right now we're so, especially in our world, there's so many differencing doctrines that we're not willing to, it says, faithfully in whatever you accomplish for the brethren. Literally whatever you do. Now, faithfully, so it has to be Jesus related.
It has to follow the gospel.
It has to follow the gospel. But, even if it looks a little differently than us, like, I don't know, we did this backpack program, if we spice it up and did something a little different. But if some other congregation did something for the food bank down the street, it's like, how can we get to a place where we're speaking highly of our brothers and sisters for the things they accomplish faithfully rather than the things that they lack?
Yeah. Well, the way it's working here is good leadership. Gaius is showing extraordinary leadership for the church.
Yeah.
Today, like we already talked about, we have gone away from the idea of leadership. We don't want it.
Idiots.
Yeah. We don't want the church to run how God set it up to run. Mm-hmm. If we got back to having good leadership, masculine roles, feminine roles, like if wives were being good elders' wives, I won't speak to that because I don't know exactly how I'm supposed to act as an elder's wife, but it's
let that be
like,
through a women's Bible study.
I'm not going to tell them how they should live their lives. It's in there. Like that's something they should be striving towards, just like we should be striving to be good leaders for them. Mm-hmm. That's where it starts, man. We got to get back to what the Bible says leadership looks like.
Yeah.
All right. Sent them forward. I believe this is talking
what verse
about.
Is that?
It's 6. If you send them forward on their journey in a manner worthy of God, you will do well.
I see. Okay.
So I believe this is talking about a custom at the time. They would accompany.
Is that the holy kiss?
Glad we moved on from that. They would accompany the traveler a portion of the way and supply their needs for the journey. It was a custom at the time. I don't believe this is talking about something that we're specifically supposed to be doing today. Yeah. We should be willing to support, I think my mind goes to supporting mission trips, that kind of thing. Like we support you along the way.
But even smaller things, it's like, hey, I gotta go to Anchorage to do this thing. Yeah, bro, let me grab you some food. Let me, I've got this leftover bread or something. You take it on your trip.
Just a loaf of bread.
Hey, that's what they would have eaten.
Yeah.
Some leavened bread.
But I believe that's what he's talking about with sending people on their journey in a manner worthy of God is, doing it respectfully, helping them, filling their needs where it's need met. But it's also part of a custom that I believe is what this is talking about.
Well, verse 8, he says, therefore we ought to support such men so that we may be fellow workers with the truth. So in that support, by giving them, send them on their way with a manner worthy of God, that is supporting them on their journey.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't know how close this directly relates, but me and Caleb have been looking at 2 Corinthians. And in the first chapter, Paul is like talking about suffering and comfort. And he's like, my comfort yields your comfort. And my suffering is directly related to your suffering. So he's like, what I experience, you also obtain because we're brothers and sisters in Christ. So in the same way, he's like, your good deeds, I also obtain by our brothers and sisters. And my portion or job is to send you on your way with support.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope. We're all connected as a body of believers.
Supposed to be.
It's
supposed to be.
well, I think regardless if we really treat it that way or not, we just are. We are connected.
The same way we're talking about, if we're not feeding our spiritual lives, this is the same thing. We're not feeding our spiritual lives. I'm not feeding you.
Right.
If you're not feeding your spiritual life, you're not feeding me.
Yeah.
It all works together, man.
It's so crazy how the concept works. I can't wait to. I don't know. I wonder if I'm going to get to ask questions in heaven or if I'm just going to know.
I know.
I would love, my pea-sized brain, I don't know if it can, but if there is a way to explain how becoming one in marriage or this concept of even though Paul's suffering, the church of Corinth is also suffering at the same time, or for his comfort, they're comforted. Understanding how this connection between believers truly works is so beyond my comprehension. And I would love to understand that.
I love Ephesians for that reason, because it talks about being one body, and it like breaks it down in such a literal sense for us to grasp.
Ephesians
right?
is so nice.
Like
it's not confusing.
It breaks it down into such a like the body. Your body does this, right? It needs this to do this.
You've got arms. The body of church has arms.
Yeah, like it's so literal for us to understand, but we still like.
Yeah, I'm sure we only grasp the surface of what that truly means.
Me not doing my part makes you like a double amputee, but it's fine. You'll get there.
Yeah, our church doesn't have any legs, but we still live.
Gotta do your part, Something interesting. He says, taking nothing from the Gentiles. I believe that's verse 7. Yeah, because they went forth for his name's sake, taking nothing from the Gentiles. I thought this was interesting. What does that mean? Taking nothing from the Gentiles.
My assumption is that Gentiles represent non-Christians in this context. Not like all Gentiles are non-Christians, but I think he's saying it in the sense of Gentiles are people who are not, God's children, I guess, at the moment. And as God's children, we're supposed to be hospitable. So by taking things from people we host is not being hospitable, And so in the same way, it's like we're sending them on their way. We shouldn't be like saying, hey, thanks for visiting. Yeah. You got any stuff for us? Like, no.
Right. Well,
we're supposed to love those.
No, I'm definitely tracking with your thoughts there. I kind of took it as literal Gentiles.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
I can't prove it either way.
Well, I'm right and you're wrong, but you can go.
I read it as literal Gentiles, but I can see your point for sure, because I think that comparison's brought up like in Romans, and it's brought up other places. So I didn't even think about that. But at the very least, I do think these are people that they are trying to convert. And with that, they're trying to take profit from people that they're trying to convert. How can I convert you when I'm expecting profit from you?
Very. Yeah, is there something? Is there a verse about like accepting tithing from visitors? Is that a thing?
I'm not sure.
Because I know churches don't want that to happen, but I don't know like why.
Well, I think this is why. Like, if we have 15 visitors on Sunday, which is a lot, right? Like, I'm being dramatic.
Yeah, but it's a quarter of the population. Why did I not say the other half?
Like, say they all donate, $20. That's a big chunk of change. Yes. What is that $20 for? What are you tithing for? Tithing for the local congregation is to keep the local work being done. You can tithe. You're more than free to tithe to a church you're visiting.
Yeah.
It should not be expected of you because you have a local church you're supporting. Right. You have local things you're trying to support with your local congregation. If you have the money to support other churches, I think you probably should.
Yeah. There's plenty of programs out there for that. Yeah. I know I did one for a while where it was like writing the Bible in languages that it's not already written in so that they can spread the gospel to places that it's not yet there. Yeah.
Churches that I'm more familiar with that I've gone to over and over again, that we're visiting, I'll tithe there.
Yeah.
But a church, if I'm traveling somewhere and it's the first time I've been there, I don't generally tithe because I don't know where their money's going.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a personal flaw in me of not trusting their eldership, their leadership to be putting the money in the right place, but I haven't seen the fruits of their work. I don't want to give into that.
Granted, why would, I don't know, unless you're just feeling generous.
Right.
It's I think you support the congregation year round because they're ministering to the people you see. So, you should not only be participating in your wealth, but also in your own participation.
Right.
But if you're just randomly strolling by and you're like, oh, I just want to have a service, some fellowship,
Yeah. But I think that's why we don't generally expect visitors to give.
It'd be really strange if we did. I would not be okay. Anyway, 9 through 10. That's one section, unless you got more.
One more thing. He mentions the fellow workers, and I wanted to contrast this with 2 John in verse 9, which says, whoever transgresses and does not abide in the doctrine of Christ does not have God. He who abides in the doctrine of Christ has both the Father and the Son. They took in false teachers here in 3 John, is what it's talking about. They're taking in the wrong people and became a part of work for evil. We take in fellow workers for truth, and we will grow in truth. So, in other words, we got to be careful of what we're letting in, what we're participating in. What workers are we associating ourselves with? Are they working for evil? What are they achieving versus what could we be achieving. So, I don't know, just an interesting thought to carry over.
That does not mean we're not brothers and sisters with these people. It's just like we need to be in the same way. Like when Paul's addressing Corinth, he's doing it in such a loving way. Like, hey, I still support and love you guys, and I will always support and love you guys, but you got some problems, right? So in the same way that like we have these fellow workers, even if they're slightly different or they're doing some things wrong, it does not mean we disown you as brothers and sisters. It means let's talk about it.
I mean, I think it depends on how far off the rails they are.
Well, okay,
right,
fair point.
Like because he's saying that we become fellow workers for the truth.
What is it? I think it's like 15 of 1 Corinthians. There's a kid who has sex with his mom,
right,
or stepmom, or something like that. Paul's not saying, "Look, I don't want nothing to do with you."
Right.
He goes back and he addresses the problem. So it's like, yeah, we do know that Paul also gives us instructions for dealing with sin with brothers and sisters. And if it gets to that final step of bringing it up to the congregation, you still say, I don't care, then we've got a different story.
Yeah, we're still told what to do with you later.
Yeah, you've disowned yourself from the church. So there's not much else we can do. So, but yeah.
I think it's important because we are God's representation on earth. We're his ambassador. Like what I associate my name with is what I'm associating God's name with. So I think we got to be very careful. Like you're saying, we don't need to disown them. Mm-hmm. We can hopefully study them back to the truth. But we got to be careful what we associate ourselves with.
Darn. I can't remember the verse, but I know there's another one out there where Paul's like, don't even eat with these people because they're so off the rails. But I don't know where it's at. Austin would know. He did the Bible study.
I don't know. We're really rambling. We'll stop there.
Yeah, we also are. We're definitely going to fill up the whole hour.
I was going to keep going, but let's read. I'll read 9 and 10.
Yeah, you go for it.
I'll do it.
You go. You do
There's some big names in there.
It's funny. 2 verses has my most notes on it.
Nice. Well, I'll read 9 and 10. You can jump in there. I wrote to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to have the preeminence among them, does not receive us. Therefore, if I come, I will call to mind his deeds, which he does, prating against us with malicious words, and not content with that. He himself does not receive the brethren, and forbids those who wish to, putting them out of the church.
I'm reading my first note. I'm like, what was I going for?
Okay. You want me to jump in?
Yeah, you go.
Okay. So now he's bringing up Diotrephes. So we've been talking about Gaius. Gaius was an awesome example of leadership, of a Christian working in the church. Now Diotrephes is another example of church leadership.
Oh.
But this time it's not in a good way. So we have a really good comparison. Okay. So Gaius versus Diotrephes, I think, is like really important for us to take out of this, of good leadership versus leadership in a bad way.
All right. My note says something like, we think of naming people like by name is a bad thing.
Yeah, I read that in your notes, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, what was I talking? Mainly because I did this when I read it first. I associate, like, whoever he was talking about in the one before, and then Diotrephes. I don't know why. I just assumed it was the same person. Obviously, it's not. So I was like, why are we? But okay. 2 Timothy 7, 1-2.
Yeah, and when I read that in your notes, like I thought it was a really good point, because along with being afraid of good leadership in the church, we also have this idea that we can't talk bad about anybody. Like, we can't judge anybody. We can't talk bad about them.
Call you out, bro.
Yeah, that's what John's doing. He's saying this guy is throwing the church under the bus, and he's claiming to work for the church. He's displaying his fruits. We can judge people by the fruits they display. We can't judge them by what we just think, but we can by what they display. And he's saying this guy is not doing the work of the church correctly. Be warned of this guy. I got issues with this guy that need addressed. Like, we should be willing to do that.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, why do I even put a verse down? I need to take better notes. Because I'm reading this, my 2 Timothy, and I don't really get it. But to go along with your point, I don't know. At least I grew up, I don't know. Honestly, it makes more sense, better sense to name them. Because if we're not naming them, but we're still talking about them, we're gossiping. That's definitely not right. But by addressing them in their sin and saying, hey, like some of these dudes are bad. They're not good for your church, and they're making it worse. Yeah. So you need to address it, or John's like, I'm gonna come over there and make it right, or I'm gonna send my buddy Paul. He's going to really make it right.
I don't understand why we have such an issue with it. Other than it's probably the same people that are doing things incorrectly that have an issue with it, because I don't want to call that was probably where this all started, would be my guess. Because I don't have an issue with you calling me out on something because I am not intentionally trying to lead you astray. Like, I want to know if I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, I guess
most people that have this attitude don't want to be told that they're leading someone astray. They don't have that heart of, hey, I want to have an understanding with you.
I do know, based off of people tell me this. I've never experienced this. But
some of the sarcastic?
No, I'm being for they've told me that there are times, at least in this new world church, in like today's world church, that somebody will have dirt on you because they're your minister and you tell them things and then they mess up or they do something bad. And I know people have been too scared to say something because he has dirt on them. And one, that speaks of your character, that if you're scared to address someone because they have dirt on you, it tells me that that person already, you shouldn't be giving them dirt on you anyway. So it's like when stuff like that happens, people are avoidant of it, or because they also could be in a position of authority. And if you have members that are too scared to kind of object that authority and say, hey, you're doing this wrong. You know, we run into this situation where John's like, hey, like, this guy's not doing good for you guys.
Yeah.
He's not helping. And it's crazy that a third party has to say something to you about it, you know, in a letter.
Yeah. Well, it mentions the preeminence that he wants over him. You know, like this word is like someone who loves being in first place. Like he's totally overstepping his boundaries of God's leadership role that he's taken. Whatever that role is, he's in some sort of leadership role. Or at least has put himself in that role, maybe by the sounds of it. And he refuses John's letter, which is refusing God's counsel, right? Yeah. It's the same way if I came to you with the Bible and said, hey, man, I see this in your life. You're doing this. Here's why you need to change it.
Like, no.
Yeah. And you're like, no. You clear that away.
Matthew 18 tells me what to do next, buddy.
Like, that's what this guy's doing. He says, nah, John, you're not preaching God. You're not inspired by God. What are you talking about?
And it's fair to assume here, I think it's fair to assume that Paul's already taken the proper steps to address, or not Paul, John has already taken the proper steps to address him, say, hey, you've got a problem, you got some issues here. And now it's reached the final step of that Matthew 18, I think it's 15 and 17 or something like that, addressing how to deal with a brother in sin. And I assume this is the last step, like, hey, I'm bringing it to everybody now because you don't want to listen to me. And now that's where they're at. But I did want to say some things as well. It says that he refuses to welcome others into the church. And I think, unfortunately, not our church, but the church does that today too. Yeah. It's like we've got broken people that haven't figured it out. And truthfully, the only time that this gets caught is because they're open about it. They're willing to talk about their misfortunes or their misunderstandings. And because of that, we kind of shun them or kick them out in some ways. Now, not literally kick them out, but you can shun somebody enough to they'll just openly leave. Yeah. Right? And the people who are having those same potential struggles are just quiet about it, and they know the right words to say in church. They cruise right by. And both people are having the same level of understanding and potentially misunderstanding. Like there's one kid that goes to a Bible study we both go to who says some things that don't make sense sometimes. And, you know, if we're condemning him for saying stuff that he just doesn't simply understand yet, but he's saying it like he knows it's true, you know, we're just going to throw him out the door? That's absolutely wrong. Right. Like, we need to talk to him about it. And this guy is literally throwing him out the door when they don't agree with him. This is what it sounds like.
Yeah. I believe he's talking about turning away missionaries like the same way as like Gaius was taking in workers for the church. This guy, Diotrephes, is turning away people that are working for the church. Mm-hmm. And he's also not letting people that are a part of the church carry out the work that we're supposed to do. I think is
basically having like control over everyone.
Yeah, he's forbidding people to not do the things that John's telling them they need to do.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a total overreach of power. Like, who has the right to sever people from God?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can do that.
True. I did want to. I don't know if we can relate this to baptism, but in the same, this was going to be my additive question at the end of the thing. But
yeah.
Should we go into it or not? The baptism stuff.
I can close 11 and 12 really quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I guess 11 through 14. I don't have anything for 13 through 14. It's
more
of a personal close.
Very little notes.
I'll read 11 and 12. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. He who does what is good is of God, but he who does evil has not seen God. Demetrius has a good testimony from all and from the truth itself, and we also bear witness, and you know that your testimony is true. I think our takeaway for all of 3 John is don't be like Diotrephes. Aspire to be like
Demetrius.
be like Demetrius and Gaius. They're good examples. We don't see like much of Demetrius's character.
But what he's received, it says Demetrius has received a good testimony from everyone in the truth itself. We had our testimony, and you know the testimony is true. Oftentimes, our most defining trait is what people say about us. It's fortunately for some of us, including myself, it's not always the most positive.
Dude, just a yapper.
See what I mean? But truthfully, what people say about you behind closed doors is typically the most defining way you are described.
I think that's why it's one of the qualifications for an elder. That you have to be of good report. What does that mean? What people are saying behind closed doors better be good about you.
Yeah. And that honestly speaks more volumes than almost anything that John himself would say about Demetrius. Because he's saying everyone says this guy's a great guy. And obviously I wouldn't write it unless I agreed.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to read Matthew 7:16 through 20 to close out 3 John. Maybe. You will know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them. So I think this ties in the idea that we can judge people by their fruits that they're displaying.
Christians.
I mean, everybody's bearing fruit. We can judge everybody by what their actions are displaying, what character traits they're displaying.
Judging is different.
Yeah.
We can make an assessment. I don't know. The judge word is hard because we're not supposed to condemn or judge unless they're Christians. Like, blank and period. But assessing like our own safety and all those things, like we can use our judgment. I get
what you're saying because like non-Christians are under a different standard. We can't hold them to our standard. Right. But at the same way, I can judge them against my standard if it's someone I can associate my time with. Like obviously, there's a difference between like trying to convert them, trying to study with them, trying to like be cordial with them versus like I have this guy over at my house every night. Like we're best buds. We go do everything, but he's a huge partier. Like he's into all this and like things that won't line up with my values. Mm-hmm. I have to judge him to make those assessments, right? But we're also told to judge ourselves. Yeah. If I'm not judging myself, but I'm judging you, that's wrong. That's part of communion every Sunday.
Take is the log I'm judging out your myself, eye, bro.
Yeah. But I just wanted to wrap up the idea that we are being judged by our fruits, just like God's judging our fruits. We got to judge each other's fruits, build each other up, work on each other's fruits, what we're bearing.
Well, so
the
much
importance of what we're displaying is that is our reputation.
So much of what we talked about today is that brother to sister relationship, whether that be bearing fruit, whether that be talking about Jesus in general, just to get the name circulated, that waves that we create with each other. Like traveling for a brother, but you receive, the support of a brother that's going on missions or whatever it is. Like we receive that fellowship with him and that same support. It's like so much of this letter is centered around us as brothers and sisters. And then also in that we see like what it means to be a good one in Demetrius and what it means to be a bad one in Diotrephes. How are you saying his name?
Yeah. I mean, you wanted to bring up, because we didn't think we'd fill our time up. So we had a couple, like...
I don't think we need to. We're already definitely over an hour. So
we'll just hit one of them real quickly is eldership you brought up, because that's a common question people have is what leadership looks like in the church. And I don't know if that's exactly the angle you were looking at it from, but I
thought it correlated.
Yeah, I think so too. I was excited for that one because this has given us a really good example of what good leadership looks like. Whether you are a husband, whether you are like a prominent person in your friend group, like we should be aspiring to be this kind of leader. We've talked. I'm. There's like the red pill masculinity. Like there's too far on both ends of.
Yeah.
Like I think red pill's the term for it. Of like
I don't know.
The Andrew Tates of the world that are like.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, like
he says some crazy stuff.
He would be on the conservative side, but he's too far on the conservative side. I can't think of someone on like the liberal side of
Trans
it.
dudes.
Okay, yeah, all right.
I'm sorry if that was brutal. I was just like popped in there.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. But it is literally, he is denying his own masculinity.
Yeah, we have gone away from the idea of masculinity so far on either side that we've lost sight of it.
Yeah.
And I think this is a huge cultural shift that's going on, which I'm really excited for and excited to be a part of, and hopefully I can display it in my life, of getting back to biblical masculinity.
Yeah.
I am not above all. I am under God, right? In my house, I'm still not above all.
In fact, you're a servant at first.
Right. My wife does not follow me unless I am following God.
Amen.
My son will not follow me unless I'm following God.
If
I am following God, my wife should follow me.
Yeah.
She's going to want to, right? And same way for my son. If I am following God, he's going to want to follow me. He's going to want my discipline. Maybe not want it in the moment, right?
Yeah,
but
true.
Like those things should be okay to say. And for me to say that my wife should follow me, like that's a big no in today's
people
society.
would not be happy about that.
Yeah.
But the truth is, in the same way, like, yes, that is partially our nature. For men, I believe is to lead, and for women, I believe is to follow. Like that's just generally the trend we see, and also what Scripture tells us. But at the same time, no one's going to follow an idiot.
Yeah.
Right. So, and if the woman that you're married to is a follower of God, they're going to only follow you if you follow God. Well, at least they should. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but under the right system, that is how it should work. In the same way, like you have to be respectable and of good reproach for your children to want to follow you. Because if your children don't respect you, we know children are brutal. So if they don't have any respect for you, then they're definitely not going to do anything you say. And we've seen that play out all over social media now. I mean, you got kids throwing stuff around because their parents don't show any discipline or any validity to their leadership.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is a good wake-up call for men. Like, I've never really associated Third John with much, like, because it's so short, it seems so personal. But reading it from a lens of now I have a family, I have a wife, like all these things. If I am in a leadership role now, I have people that I am responsible for,
including myself,
including Nathan.
He's my landlord.
Sometimes I think I'm like your stepdad. I don't know. It's weird. Like I feel way too responsible.
All right,
for
Daddy,
you.
calm down.
Yeah, I feel way too responsible for this guy. But I think it's really a good wake up call. Like this is what leadership looks like, and then no matter what phase of life you're in, you should be assuming some role of leadership.
Yeah, even in the smallest degrees.
And I think
you got a fish, it counts. No.
I think that whether you are trying to be a good leader or not, you are displaying an act of leadership.
Yeah. Yeah, I talk about, I think I told this to my high school kids, was like, whether or not you guys really think about it or see it, these little kids in our church are watching us.
Yeah.
Like they want to be in your position because you're the older kids. And they look at me as not too old of a teacher to say the same thing. It's like they want to imitate me in some ways. And I've seen it happen. So it's like, I feel pretty confident in saying that. So it's like, even if we're not trying to be leaders, even if that's not the role we've selected, we are leading in a lot of ways. And even outside of the church, there are people who look to us, and if we're the example of Christ, we are leading that way. Yeah. Whether or not we're really pushing Christian doctrine, we're leading in just being good people, being hospitable, being positive, being, all those traits that we are, we're leading by a good example.
No.
And the things you say, the way you interact, the things you say to others, like literally everything we do, God holds us to a higher standard. So in a sense, the world is also going to look at us as we should be a higher standard.
Yeah.
So,
and with the same, like we started this conversation with elders being leadership, and I got off on my whole tangent there, but I don't know, it's something that I'm passionate about.
That's good.
But with like elders specifically, it's the same rule applies. They are subject to God. Mm-hmm. If they're not leading you how God says they need to lead you, you don't follow them.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be respectful about how you address that. Mm-hmm. I would assume most people, but it does obviously happen. Look at Diotrephes.
People abuse power.
He's abusing power, leading people astray willingly. You got to be careful how you address those things, but don't be afraid to address your leadership.
Yeah.
And if they're confident what they're teaching you is correct, they will sit down and have that study with you.
Yeah. And hopefully if they're wrong, they'll admit their mistake.
Yeah. They'll be ready to correct it.
And if they don't, it's probably about time to shift over somewhere else.
Possibly. Yeah.
Or look at yourself and be like, maybe I'm wrong,
Yeah, that's
Take
another thing.
humility in
We
the
can't
fact.
be challenging people without challenging ourselves.
Yeah. Just because you heard someone on TikTok doesn't mean it right.
Yeah, we're all growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't read the last 3 verses, 13 through 15.
Okay.
So I'll read them and we'll just close it out there because it's a good ending. I had many things to write to you, but I am not willing to write them to you with a pen and ink. But I hope to see you shortly and will speak face to face. Peace be to you. The friends greet you. Greet the friends by name. Say what's up, Hayden.
I'll pen pal you. Yeah.
All right.
I think next one we plan on doing Hebrews. If there's something else you'd rather see, let us know.
Yep.
But for now, that's the game plan, and
Epic.
I think that's all we got.
I'm so excited for Hebrews.
Yeah, super deep study. We can go kind of as deep or as shallow as we want. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'll be cool going for the more like in-depth, topical, not necessarily topical.
Yeah,
There's probably a word for it.
Hebrews just spark a lot of topical studies.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
And a lot of cross-verse studies. Hit multiple books.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well,
Excited.
with that, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. We'll try and be a little more consistent, but it seems to be a problem around here.
We'll figure it out. Okay, later.
Thanks for listening. If you have a topic you would like us to cover, email us at armoredpod@gmail.com. And please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.